So the one thing that I've discovered over the years about this practice is that behind the practice of meditation, even before we come to meditation, there's always a kind of impulse that we have that moves us forward always towards wholeness, that experience of wholeness. And that impulse may be initially unconscious, and it's a drive that everyone has everywhere. And it's the reason behind what it is that we have, whatever it is that we do. At a certain point, when that impulse for transcendence, and I'll explain what that means in a minute, becomes conscious, it becomes then not so much of an impulse, a force that's driving us, and we don't know what it is, but an actual pursuit where we bring attention and will and understanding to what it is that we do. And of course, the purpose is the same, which is for becoming whole, for feeling complete, you know. And I think most of us have a sense that something is lacking and we don't know what it is. Perhaps a few of us have contentment. The word for that in Sanskrit, which is the language of yoga and the language of meditation, is santosha. And it's a feeling of fullness, really. But most of us haven't quite attained that feeling of ongoing fullness, a fullness that doesn't dissipate, that's abiding. And so meditation becomes part of a strategy that we embark upon to make this impulse towards wholeness conscious and to help realize the potential of that. And there are 5 areas that we seek wholeness in life. And of course, there's physical, which means physical well-being, robustness and vitality, a sense of strength and vigor. Of course, mental or psychological, dealing largely with the mind. And this is, of course, an area where meditation works a lot, is learning how to deal with our minds and to direct the minds in a positive way, using the energy of the mind not to sabotage our well-being, but to actually create benefit and upliftment. The third is emotional. And emotional is related to our mental or psychological, but the emotional has to do with those impulses or feelings that arise, that are often initiated by a thought, but sometimes not, just a deep feeling that arises, and it has tremendous power. Emotions are quasi-somatic. They affect the body very powerfully. They engage the mind, they can capture the mind, and also impact us at a physiological level. The fourth is societal, and it has to do with our relationships with one another, how we relate with one another, how we connect or are not able to connect. Are we in a state of disconnect with others and alienation? And finally, there's a spiritual, which is the underlying seat that enables that deep connection with all of those other levels to be fulfilled, to be realized. Meditation is an intrinsic part of this process. And some of you have heard me mention this before, but I'll mention it again because it gives us a context in which to understand what we're talking about. And most of us know what the word homeostasis means, right? Homeostasis means what? To be in balance, that there is a natural mechanism within us that returns us to a state of balance. It's like the pendulum that swings. And at a certain point, it comes to center. Now that center is not necessarily a place of stasis, which is what homeostasis seems to describe, but really what it is the operation of various forces within us that become balanced and enable a harmonious experience to emerge from that. Now, normally the word homeostasis relates only to physiology. That's the way we think about it, is the body in a state of balance. But really it pertains to all of these levels that we were talking about, not just physiological, psychological, emotional, societal, and certainly spiritual. So meditation is one of the great discoveries that facilitates this natural stabilization to occur. And the result of that is a sense of equanimity. And we want to be able to cultivate an equanimity that is enduring, that remains regardless of the kinds of external influences that we are subject to, which often throw us off center. Now, having said all of that, the point we really want to understand here is that meditation is key for enabling us to reach that all-pervasive kind of balance or equanimity that can pervade every facet of our experience. And I heard someone once say that meditation isn't for everybody. And sure, it requires a certain skill that we hope to develop that may not be easy for some people, but most people can meditate. And in reality, in fact, everyone already meditates. As my teacher used to say, everyone just doesn't know that they're meditating. And meditating in the way that he was talking about it was referring to the capacity to focus the mind and direct the mind in one direction, even if it's only for a very short period of time. So meditation is a skill that we all learn, but we can learn to meditate more powerfully and more deeply in a way that's going to actually help us realize those capacities that we carry within us that remain unfulfilled. So it has the capacity for actualization, to realize our skills and potentials, to make life richer and better. But in addition to that, it carries us beyond the realm of personal self-actualization into what yoga refers to as transcendence, to experience a powerful connection with source, with our source, and the source of all things.